Hi, it's Thursday night, the 23rd of April, and day 114 of Living the Dream. You're not going to believe what I had to go through and what happened. I'm doing my video journal entry for Thursday's activities right here on Monday morning. I know that sounds odd, but when you hear the story behind it, I think you'll be understanding and will appreciate the fact that I took notes from each of the days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and here it is Monday, knowing that I'll finally be able to do the recording once I got that egg, so to speak, all picked up and put back together and on the wall. I had a good morning on last Thursday. I got a couple more segments built out for lesson 11, segment 2 and segment 3, and then I went down for lunch. When I came back up to my office, I started my computer back up, but when my Microsoft Windows came up, a little search bar down the bottom corner and that little icon, the Windows icon, I clicked on it and nothing happened. I clicked, nothing. Oh my goodness, it rebooted. Anyhow, the search bar didn't work. When I clicked on it, nothing happened, especially even when I hit C. I couldn't even type C in there to get the camera to open up. So I couldn't do recordings or anything. In other words, my computer was frozen. I thought maybe a hacker had planted a virus in it somehow, and so I was going to lose everything. So I quickly saved a lot of files over to an external hard drive that I had. All the files that I had put over there, took a little while to do that, and then I called Microsoft to get some help. Now, I don't want you to get bored with a tale of woes, so here's just a really short version. After the rest of Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, up until about quarter to 5 in the early evening, I was on the phone with 5 different techs through those days, hoping that they could help me get things back to normal. After each one tried to help me, one spent almost 2 hours and didn't do a thing. I don't think that person knew what he was doing, but I finally got a tech that I reached out to on Saturday morning about 9 o'clock in the morning this past Saturday, and he was fantastic. He was from Ecuador, and he really knew his stuff. But that wasn't the best part of it. Johan was his name, was a very professional tech, and he was very supportive of my flight, and he really wanted to help me get things put back together. He had a strong desire, in fact, and we talked a little bit and got to know him a little bit, and so he was quite willing to help do whatever it took to get this thing working. So we ultimately, with all this testing that after hours, decided to go ahead and uninstall all my Windows files and programs, taking it back to the original default settings. And then everything finally worked. Well, the rest of Saturday, as you can imagine, was spent loading back on all the files that weren't Windows or Office related, because they would have been wiped out. And man, oh man, that was a booger of a task to get everything back and working. I had to redo all my Google accounts, my YouTube accounts, all my email accounts, my password. Oh my goodness. But here's the silver lining in all this major headache that I went through. My laptop is running faster than it ever has. I have a great deal more space to save things to, and it provided me a very important warning ahead of something really serious happening. And what was that? Well, since my hardware is a little older now, it is going to crash, he said, and it could crash very soon. So the tech said I have a problem with my BIOS something or other, and so I backed everything up like I said, and it didn't crash on me. And if it does, I'm going to be protected. So everything's offloaded onto my external hard drives and up to my Google Cloud, so I won't lose a thing. That's great. I'm also going to get the funds put together to get a new computer to replace the one that I have right now, but I'm hoping I won't have to do that until I get my website up and running for when I want to launch my coaching program. If I can go that far, I'll be so happy. The truth is, this was a very big blessing in disguise of a computer crash. With that said, that's why I'm doing Thursday's video journal entry here on Monday morning. I'll also be then doing Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. And then later tonight, I'll do today's, which is Monday's, journal. So that's April 27th is today. The main task I had scheduled for Thursday, though it was cut short, was to finish building out Lesson 11. In fact, my power statement for Thursday last week said this: I will finish building out the rest of Lesson 10 segments and get a few additional backburning tasks done that were on my list to do. In fact, I was kind of upset, but I'm going to pull this up right here. This was Thursday's list. You have that one yellow one, which was to build out the rest of the lessons, check my bank accounts, check the emails, check the back burner list, see if there's some things I can do. Bam! Got those 2 extra list segments built out, so I'm happy about that. Now, I wasn't able to get any of the computer-related tasks done, of course, like typing more things and doing more recordings and whatever, doing other parts of my segments of my lesson or any backburner requirements because the computer was down. But I did spend, and at real lightning speed as I think in my mind, I spent the rest of Thursday, I spent all day Friday, I spent all day Saturday up until almost 5 o'clock getting that computer up and going again. I pushed through, I pushed through the delays, all the missteps, and what appeared to be bad luck circumstances exploding up in my face. It's all a part of what I call the living the dream. In fact, challenges like the one I just described that I went through the last 4 days are all part of one story of success. You know it and I know it. We can't have it just something that we don't have to struggle where everything goes perfectly. It's not a bed of roses. Life has challenges. And the fact is that we have to have struggle. We can't go through life with no struggle. We'd have no muscle. You have to go through struggle to build up the muscles. In other words, no one wants to hear a story of a walk in the park to victory. Period. They want to hear about the struggle, the climb up the treacherous mountain, all the failures and the overcoming and what you did to overcome the obstacles that came at you. Boom, boom, boom. It's the challenges that are placed in our path to victory that makes our story worth listening to. Yes, this was a booger of a problem, and yes, it cost me 4 days, but it could have been so much more troublesome and worse. My computer could have not been repairable, or it could have just shut down and I lost everything. So I would have had to go and buy a new one anyway, but lost all the programs and that I saved, all those recordings and my lessons I've done. In fact, I got that number lesson 12 to do and lesson 11 to do. I've got those all written out. I would have lost those and have to think about rewriting that over again because they weren't recorded yet. I don't want to even imagine what would have happened had my computer exploded and went and crashed and I lost everything. That would have been tragic. I count my many blessings that it didn't happen. And I'm using this tender mercy to prepare by backing things up. And you should do the same right now and preparing as if it would have happened to you and that it'll happen to me right now and not in the future. So yes, this was a great experience and even a blessing. That's what we do when we see these problems. We need to step back and look at it and see what's the silver lining. Croy Sather says that we need to look at these kind of negative, put you back on the hills kind of experiences and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is the benefit here that I can grow from? And then express gratitude for it and move on with your journey to alignment. And so that's what I'm doing. Bam, done. Next is to answer Croy's get honest with yourself question. What didn't go well today, Marty? Or what could you have done better? Well, you just heard what didn't go well. But I did wake up early and start strong all those days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this morning I kept my routine going. My mornings were with power, and I was productive, pushing to get this all resolved so it didn't get me way behind. And did you get the most important thing done? I sure did Thursday. Did you move your goals forward? Yes, I did. Did you show up as the person you wanted to be? Well, I have to admit, for a moment, when I realized what was happening and what these texts were telling me, I thought, oh my goodness. But then I realized I missed hitting the bullet there and getting shot by a broken computer. So I'm happy about that. And so I continued to be present and doing what I needed to do to help them, help me. And yes, I was there for Kathleen. I left it behind me at 5:30, 6 o'clock each evening and went and enjoyed an evening with my wife. Now it says, combine all these questions together as one big question. Were you honest with yourself about today's task, Marty? In other words, did you keep your commitments you made to yourself? Well, I was trying to get that whole lesson done because I think I would have had time, but I did what I could until it crashed. Those things were out of my control. And so I kept the promises that I made to myself that I had control over. I built out those 2 more segments of lesson 10. The backburner tasks were not something that I could get to because they all required me typing or doing. I didn't stand around complaining and moping and giving myself excuses to take the day off and slack away my day. I got after attacking the enemy of my goals, the improvised emotional distractions. The improvised I, emotional E, distractions D. The IEDs, and simply went to work to get my computer back up and running, period. The next question that Croy asks is, what's the one thing you did that made you feel successful today, Marty? Well, do you think there might have been? Well, I have to say that it was hard to feel successful in the heat of all that. But because that feeling of accomplishment is not just tied to getting my coaching package done, it's also tied to my personal development development, my intellect, my success mentality development. I had the opportunity to be tested. I had the opportunity to really work on that for 4 straight days. So that was my source of feeling successful these past 4 days. So bam. The next question is, what movies did you watch in your mind today, Marty? Did you make time for them? Even though my computer was out of commission for a while, I still did my win the morning, win the day routines every single morning and my end the day success routines every single night. It's these 2 routines that keep me going and filled with the power and strength to work through these kinds of obstacles. Going to the movies, as I've said, is a major part of these routines, and I go to the movies every day and throughout the day. Next, Croy asks you to rate your day's effort. Well, I gave today, Thursday, although a tragedy it was, I gave it a 10. And I gave it a 10 because I worked at the speed of 10 to get these past hiccups and delays done and behind me, and that caused my computer to crash. I didn't stop from living the dream. It's part of the journey. The next question is, if this was the only thing you did and got done tomorrow, but you'd still feel like a success, what would that one thing be? And put it into a power statement for tomorrow. Well, because this computer crash is now in the hands of the techs, I'm speaking as though it's Thursday, I am going to make my power statement saying, this is what the notes I said I took. I see through, meaning I'll work with the techs until the job is done. I'm going to see it through, press forward, think positively, speak what you want, not what you don't want. Just stay after it. Help them. Be ready. Be available. Answer their questions. Be willing to let them go through the process. That's what seeing it through meant. So now I have Friday and Saturday to get back up and running, and then I can get back to doing my video journal entries and building out the rest of Lesson 10's video recorded segments. Remember, I've already ripped off my rearview mirrors. I'm not looking back. I'm simply looking forward to get on with it, and we all should do the same. Okay, let's end the day strong. Here's what I'm grateful for today. First of all, I'm grateful for my Microsoft license. I don't have a pic of that, I'll just tell you. It's not often that I pay for licenses for programs of such, or auto warranty shields, or anything like that, but I'm sure glad I did on this case. The Microsoft techs, I think, a total of 14 hours they worked to help me. One tech spent 2 hours and didn't get hardly anything done. I don't think he knew what he was doing, and so I just said, thank you very much, click, and we were gone. But like I said, Johan sure did know his stuff, and after nearly 6 hours with him, it was fixed. Next, I'm grateful for the law of positive dogmatism. Everyone interested in human relations should read again and again the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Many people think that for all-round excellence, Benjamin Franklin was the wisest man America has ever produced. Franklin states in his autobiography the techniques he used to accomplish this positive or position of real distinction. He records that he always carried with him a list of virtues. Listen to that. He carried with him a list of virtues he wanted to cultivate and a list of the vices in his personality which he wished to eliminate. That's pretty powerful. He recalls that at one time in his life he was overbearing, sometimes approaching insolence. Fortunately, one of his good friends talked with him about it, and unlike most of us, Franklin was wise enough to listen to a recital of his own shortcomings without getting angry. We talked about that as a law of success, is to being willing to listen to someone else, even when it's critical, and make the changes if it's true. Here's what I said about this. I made it a rule. Here's what he said about this. I made it a rule to forbear all direct contradiction to the sentiments of others and all positive assertion of my own. I even forbid myself the use of every word or expression that imported a fixed opinion, such as certainly, undoubtedly, etc. And I adopted instead of them, I conceive, I apprehend, or I imagine a thing to be so or so. Or it so appears to me at the present time, etc., etc. When another asserted something I thought an error, I denied myself the pleasure of contradicting him abruptly, and of showing immediately some absurdity in his proposition. And in answering, I began by observing that in certain cases or circumstances, his opinion would be right. I soon found the advantage of this change in my manner. The conversations I engaged in went Oh, a whole lot more pleasantly, he said. Mr. Franklin said that next only to character and integrity, this non-dogmatic attitude, this was of more help to him than any other one single thing. A non-dogmatic statement sets in motion forces, he said, that overcome the effects of the law of positive dogmatism. That's the law I was talking about. Positive dogmatism is not good. I'll explain why. Lastly, he said, I'm grateful for the principle of success that says the difference between a champ and a chump is determined by how you get up after getting knocked down. Do you get up and quit or run away from the fight? Or do you get up to the fight and fight some more, or do fight another day? How do you get up determines whether you're a champ or a chump. That's a good one, isn't it? I want to be the champ and not the chump. How about you? Another day of living the dream has gone into the history books, and boy, what a day. I'll be back with Friday's video journal entry here shortly, right here at my computer, telling the story of my life as I pursue my journey to alignment. Until then, I wish you continued success. Good night.